Over again, I say, we don't make mistakes. We have happy accidents. Don't get upset if something doesn't go right. You learn from mistakes. Son of a gun, and I have made more mistakes than everybody put together. Shake it off. Beat the devil out of it and go about your business. Over and over again, I say, we don't make mistakes. We have happy accidents. Son of a gun, and I have made more mistakes than everybody put together. Shake. Over and over again. Over and over.
Hey, how's it going? Oh, man, these mics are slipping. I gotta fix up that mount. How's it going, everyone? Anyone? Hello. Alright, so got this, got that. Move this. I got some new blades for my knife, so I cleaned up some of the cuts, which is nice for the planks of wood. Those are all getting set. We have in front of me the prototype floor piece for our houses. The focus is locked. And I just got some new spray paint that's okay for foam. Normally you can't use spray paint for foam. And I'm going to try that out on the next piece to get really good priming in between the cracks. But today we're going to test out some coloring on this prototype, as well as look at some of the desert rocks I was tinkering with last night. I put this lightly browned red over it on the top to kind of like look for ways that the base color of the desert can be warm. Don't know if that's the right move. It's a little muted. I might go for a stronger red, but that's a good starting point. So we're gonna jump in. We're gonna work on the floor, and when things start to dry, I might start gluing some bricks together to build out the frame for another house. But you know, we got ourselves pretty busy for this stream. Should have music. Yeah, great. So we will start with, why are you so stiff? You're like glued on stiff. Weird. Alright, so my wood patterns, we have dark brown as the base, and then we have like 3 other tones of like latte and coffee brown to bring out highlights. I'm going to start with painting the wood, and then we'll go to the stone. Oh, let's make sure that the top down's okay. Hey, it works. I want to make it so. You know? Let me switch. I want to make it so that you see a good angle when I use this camera. There we go. Let's try that. What does that look like? Oh, that's starting to look really good. Welcome to See My Extreme Fiddling with Cameras. His favorite primary hobby. Oh, that's not a bad vibe. No, let's stick with that for a minute. Get those out of the way. Got that. Great. Sean, what's up, buddy? You ready to get some painting done? Just the edge of the table. So if I end up doing something right here, which I'm known to do, it will be still a little bit on camera. All right. You gotta give us some warning on these streams, dude. I did, buddy. I posted on the Discord, I did on YouTube community, and I posted on the Patreon. What's another way I could give you a warning? Tell me and I will try to implement it. I literally just turned my computer on and saw you stream. I guess I could post, you know, the day before. Versus the morning of. I thought about that going to bed last night. I was like, I'm gonna stream tomorrow. Because the episode's not ready. Because it's a beefy episode. And I don't want to skimp out on the quality. Because once it's uploaded forever. And I'm trying to implement that thinking in my videos moving forward. It's like, you know what? If it takes another week, so be it. It means that a good video is on the internet. All my notification sounds are the same. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I should practice doing it like a day ahead. And that would probably help, because then you'd at least have some time to look at notifications or notice a thing. You know what I should do? Does it help for me to, like, schedule a stream so that way you guys can see a stream is coming on your feed? I might have just missed it too. I was also just catching up on the most recent episode. Here, yeah, let's make that a topic of the conversation. How can I improve my communication? I think it's pretty good. Right? Oh, I don't have my paintbrush cup. Twin steel. Communicate would be a place to start. Fair. This dry. Well, my goal is, I think I've mentioned it before, but my goal is that I stream on Tuesdays, and then on Sundays when an episode doesn't get released, I'll stream then too. So it doesn't feel like you guys lose a day. How's it going? How's the upcoming escape action video coming? The escape action video is tied together in traveling in a travel system, if that makes sense. How's it going? I guess it's okay. It's just a holiday weekend, and it's like a 4-day holiday, or like a 4-day weekend because of the holiday. So everything's like really slow, and it just feels like a week of nothing has been happening. All right, so let the wood dry here. Let's talk about this. This is a very muted red. I don't know if this is right. I think I want to go vibrant red for the base of the desert pieces. Let me get my old desert rock, and that could help. It's far more orange than it is red. But to get this type of bright orange on black, you're going to want to put a base red. So I'll keep that in mind. So I don't need to do any fancy work with the red. Where's the big brush? Oh, I have a big one. Yeah, let's just use some basic, bright, vibrant red as the base color for these desert pieces. So everything's built on top of that. And if we ever see underneath the layers of color, it's red. Cool. I think it's... Currently I have 6 videos written, but not shot. And then 6 videos... 3 videos shot and not edited. And 6 videos shot and edited. And right now I'm spending my time on those videos. I'm basically just focusing on making sure thumbnails are good, making sure... My little cat came out of the window. Making sure that the intro to the video is good. It might mean I have to film a new intro for some of them, so that way, you know, they do better on YouTube. But yeah, I'm also trying to make sure my videos are fun, not just informative or talky. There'll be plenty of talky. I'm just trying to do that extra work. My face cam is blurry. Yeah, it's because it's focusing on everything else. If I just do this. There we go. Did it work? There it is. Yeah. It's autofocusing on the camera stuff and the microphone. Thank you, Sean. But yeah, yesterday I wrote a video. Today I wrote a video, at least a first draft. And I'm getting in a really good habit of every day or at least every other day I write a video. I can't always get to shooting it the day of, but be good. I appreciate that, Twin. I really do. And I appreciate the double view. Cool. This brush can go right there. Oop, I'm getting some red all over the wood. Get it out of here. Yeah, the way I'm approaching shooting these videos and I'm bulking up is a really cool process that would only happen because I'm doing it this way. So I spend a day, not a whole day, but like in one day I will write a script, which is mostly an outline, and then if I don't feel 100% about it, I'll come back to it in a day or two, right? If I'm not feeling it at all, I'll just walk away from the script because it's just I'm not feeling it. Then I will shoot it. I'll try to shoot 2 videos in a single day That's really hard. It drains me very quickly, but I try. Then I quickly edit it. My brain, catch up. After shooting the video, I will try to do at least a quick first pass on the edit that day while my excitement for the idea in the video are still there and active. Which right there now takes up half the day and eats up in the time that it was needed to edit Amity Island or another D&D episode. So right there is already work that has to be balanced. From there, I will come back for a second pass, maybe the next day or a day after, just to like feel really good about it. And I'll export it just to have it set aside so I know it's there. After that, I think about the ways of, like, I think about the thumbnail a little bit more. So before I shoot the video, I make sure I have a first draft title and thumbnail. And then after I'm done writing it, I double check that thumbnail and title and make sure they match what I wrote. It's like, oh, it missed it just by this much. Let's adjust it that way. And then once the first pass edit's done, I think about that intro a little bit more, or the title and thumbnail a little bit more, and think about how can I make a fun intro, which is not normally what I do, like a fun skit or something that can fit a more interesting thumbnail and segue into the video better. So I normally don't do that, and doing things step by step really helps. In my point of view, I could be wrong, but I feel very right about this. I can make the best edited video from top to bottom there is. If I really work hard enough, I could do such a thing. But at the end of the day, I need to make sure the intro is better than the body, because the intro is where most people fall off and choose a different video. Because when you start watching a video, you're like, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. And you watch something else. And I need to reduce that as much as possible with, yes, it has to, I want to do something fun versus something, I want to do something fun that challenges me, that is entertaining to you guys, and adds value to talking about D&D. Yeah, getting straight into the topic, I have improved a lot on. And I would say these newer videos do that really well. And I think the intro might fatten up the front a little bit, but I'm trying to make sure those intros are fun things that set up the topic as well. I don't know, it's an experiment. And I just wrote a bunch of intros that I want to try that I've never tried before. I'm going to shoot them, edit them in, and feel them out. Yeah, it's a lot to balance, and that's a beauty of doing the bulking videos, because I'm not... One thing I'm trying to really avoid is the bad thinking that comes with uploading a video every week or every other week, is you then look at the numbers of the video, and for whatever reason, you're not happy. And you don't know how you could make it better. And then you second guess your next video's idea, or you work hard on a part of it that doesn't really make it better. But doing it bulk, you're just making each video the best that they can be, thinking about the best way to put the title and thumb, the intro, and you're just thinking about making them good. And then you schedule them to release, and you really don't care about how well they do because they're all lined up to go. Are you going to have guests help you with opening skit? I thought about that, and I think once I know that that's the route that I want to do it, because right now I'm just I'm about to film those setups. If I like what I'm seeing, and that's the route I'm going to go, then yes. Because that's a fun, easy way to have a friend or another YouTuber just swing on by and be a part of it. And it's like, hey, you want to help me intro my video? The video is just me talking about D&D, which you don't have to be there for. We're just going to shoot this fun little thing for the beginning. Yeah, that's, I think fun little ways to do that. Ooh, my alarm. Because a big thing that's helping me right now is I'm thinking about the videos I'm trying to make are not videos necessarily I want to talk about. They end up being things I want to talk about, so therefore I'm excited to do them. But I'm trying to think of videos in the way that I guess YouTube has been trying to tell people or creators, is that YouTube doesn't... The recommendation system isn't about getting you your video views. It's about giving viewers videos to watch that they want to watch. It's like, okay, I'm going to make these videos with that in mind, a service. And therefore, I'm thinking very differently on the videos I'm making, on what topics I pick. I look at things that you guys talk about in the Discord, or what I notice on Reddit that people wish more information was out there on. I'm thinking about how do I help new players, new DMs. Like, what could I say versus what can I say to help them? What is something that they want help on, and how would I say that? Will this all work out? No clue, because it's bulk. I have no evidence to see it work or not. But I'd rather put all that effort in a dozen videos and watch the results come in than judge one video at a time. The lore videos that Chris has been helping me make are super funny. Oh my god. I burst out laughing every time I start watching it. When do you think the first lore video will be out? What have we recorded so far? We recorded 3 episodes so far. Because we can only do like 1 or 2 at a time. Once every like week or so. And right now Chris is out of town. My hope is my first lore video drops around mid to end December. That's my hope. But I want to make sure I have at least 1 lore video per month until June. So 7 lore videos edited, at least first draft, before I start releasing. And if that means I can't release till January, so be it. Because I don't want to be racing the clock to make sure there's a video. I want to try to have this think ahead process. This is a big piece, so I'm not going to be able to always be able to paint it in front of camera. Just a heads up. Part of my logic for being ahead, like 1 or 2 videos a month, is that those videos aren't necessarily timely, right? But then, good evening, Kobe. But then, if I have a timely video that I want to quickly get made, I can make that in addition. And I can also work on bulking up as they're being released, so more videos are being scheduled as well. This is my hope and my dream. Will I be able to do it? Only time will tell. Only time. As a player who has witnessed the deck of many things, and as a new DM, I will not have the deck of many in my game. I do like the kind of approach of what they were trying to do with the new deck of many things, which is start an adventure with tarot cards, similar to Curse of Strahd or Ravenloft, where the cards give the players fortunes or prophecies down the line. And if you've seen my prophecy video, you know how good those are. Talking shit? No, Chris, you're out of town, right? For like a week or so? Week plus? This rock is going to be as red as Hallig. Yeah, about 2 weeks. All right, great. And so then in 2 weeks when you get back, we'll record 2 podcast episodes. One way to integrate it with safety is to take out the ones that you really don't want to happen. You know, part of me goes, leave those in and try to think how to interpret that in what you have. Like, maybe the one that means death doesn't mean everyone dies. Or at least everyone dies right now. Maybe something else happens that leads to a lot of death and the next adventure. Good job, Sean. Allie's gonna love it. She can finally use those emojis that are for backers and members. Nah, Allie and I try to stick tight to our budget, and if we ever get gifted, that's great. Otherwise, you know, we already pay for premium. And we already live that artist life. I didn't know Allie was hiding in the background either. She's supposed to be out having coffee with some friends. She might be lurking. Cool. So we got a red base on the desert rocks, which is pretty good. There's some black sticking out. That's okay. I did just get, and it's gonna show up tomorrow, so I'll wait till Tuesday to use it, is water-based acrylic paint spray, which is good for foam since it doesn't eat it up. Normal paint spray would just melt the foam. And I ordered a tundra snow and a desert sand, so we can actually test those out and see how that affects it on top of the red base. You can reflavor and homebrew different effects, but if you're not that kind of DM, that's true. You want to use the raw cards. That's a big thing about having, like, easy to go to systems, whether they're homebrew or core game. Like the next escape action video, which is tied into a redo of my travel system. Which means my old travel system video I'm probably going to make private, because it doesn't reflect the tools that I use anymore. Is these tools these new systems I'm using in D&D are based off of older editions of D&D's core systems, which, if adapted just right with just the smallest tweaks, they make 5e easier to run and more fun to play. So my travel system, the underworld clock, I just wrote a video today that definitely needs a second draft, but it's on the right course, which is about using turns in exploration, not just combat. And in the same vein with the deck of many things, you need, when someone gives you a deck of many things, no, that's not right. When you purchase a deck of many things, book, cards, whatever, having the core system of like how you're intended to use this should be there, as well as the variant ways you can use it, as if those were smaller homebrew system tools. To be honest, I would rather watch this stream than have coffee with one of Allie's friends. Sad and true. All right, we're gonna put, so our original coat of wood brown was real brown, and now we're going to try out nutmeg. Using my vocals and they hurt, because I be talking a lot these days. Oh yeah, yesterday I reorganized my D&D shelves a bit. Kind of just to move things around, and then just like I've had some pieces that I've never used since day one, and they don't reflect what I will use, so I'm like getting rid of those. Reorganizing so I have things in the proper places that are easier for my brain to remember where things are. Yeah, I did that last night. It was really relaxing. Let's see if there we go. YouTube was telling me that there was only one person watching while all of you guys were chatting, and I was like, what is going on? All right, so we'll put the nutmeg brown on the wood. There we go, all set. And this is just meant to be kind of a dry brush, but more of just like a top tone. And I have different shades of little latte browns to give it more depth. Oh yeah, so YouTube will now be changing how YouTube channels are laid out. So above all the organized playlists and setup that I do for Fables, you might see that YouTube recommends a bigger thumbnail playlist on top of it all based off of your watch habits. Which is not a bad thing, but it does bury the rest of the channel quite a bit. And again, like I said, YouTube doesn't care about what the creator wants to make and get views on. It cares about what viewers want to watch. which is sometimes a little crazy to me. Because sometimes as a viewer, I want to watch the thing that that somebody I know worked really hard on to make. Not just what my past viewing habits tell you. It's starting to look really good. That's some good wood. So that on the wood. What do I want to paint the stones? I want to give them some sand yellow with the dungeon stones are some brown with green undertone, and that has to do with more of the moldy ruin look. These are fresh foundations. Could work, but they aren't giving me recommendations that I would like. I only found you after collecting 450 videos of homebrew deep dive. Yeah, that's a long tunnel. It's a big rabbit hole. I think for stones, it's really funny. I know the feeling sometimes. I think for stones, I'm going to give it a brown undertoning with different shades. So I'll do sand, brown, and red. Wash them with black, and then do a gray highlight over that. I think it also has a lot to do with me not uploading a lot right now in homebrews. And then I was the light at the end of the tunnel. And then I will... What am I saying? Two thoughts just hit me at once. Sorry. I think because I'm not uploading homebrew videos that often anymore, because I'm bulking, so that way I can actually release them regularly. That doesn't make my videos that relevant in the recommendation, I guess. But I could also go, before I release the new batch, I could go back and update like tags and maybe a little bit of the titles. So that way, homebrew, house rules. What's a word that you type into YouTube search when you're trying to look up stuff for house rules and homebrews, other than homebrew? Because I can utilize and use your thinking to help my videos get better. So Good thing this is a prototype piece. I'll grab some brown. Brown right here. Steal these rules. I feel like people looking up home brews is kind of like somebody looking up, how do I fix this thing in my car? I really feel like that's a similar mindset. It's like, this thing that I'm doing isn't working. Or this thing that I want to do doesn't work the way I want it to. How do I do it better? Sean is making me have feelings right now. That's not okay. Thank you, Sean. But then Sean goes see Critical Role and he's like, damn, Carmichael needs to step up his game. Just double checking because I can't hear it. Can you guys hear music in the background? And am I loud enough? I'm sorry, buddy. That's a fair assessment. But my hopes is it doesn't happen anymore. Working really hard to make sure that doesn't happen anymore. There we go. At least 2 browns per side. There we go. I'm sure that's true as well. I was searching for anything that could improve the game instead of specific rule. I didn't have a goal to speed up combat, increase lethal, or promote role-playing. It's like, how do I make D&D easier, or how to be better at D&D? Something like super vague. Okay, that's super helpful. Homebrew, house rule, steal these rules, better than 5e and others similar. Okay. Yeah, it's way more general. monster hit points, I definitely round. So I never linger on like a 23 or a 22. I just like, if it's less than 25, I go to 20. If it's 25 or up, I go to 30. And then if the narrative of the attack feels right, I might just let players kill monsters when they have enough hit points to survive something. So I do stuff like that. I am looking at other ways to run monsters to make it easier. While Chris and I are working on the Amity book, we have some good like morale systems that work for 5e. So that way it's not always a battle to the death with monsters, which also plays into the travel system and escape action. But yeah, I don't roll damage for my monsters. Saves me so much brain power. I do hesitate to say the number though, because it feels like, oh man, you take a lot of damage if I just say the number versus I could roll and it not being as much. But, you know, speed. I want to remove something that is not fun for the players, which is just waiting for me to roll dice all the time. Oh, I wanted to put some red on this. Doi. Been DMing for more than 20 years. Congratulations. I'm always looking for ways to adjust the game. I was very happy when 5e essentially brought back 3.5. Yeah. I think that was a big... What was that? Something just flashed? I think that was a big reason why 5e was successful. It was in many ways, a simpler way of playing 3.5. And for my most, like, ooh, I'm getting colors all over my wood. Good thing it's a prototype. A lot of the homebrews, the big homebrew system tools that I'm using are actually inspired by older editions and just refined a little bit to fit more of the 5e style of play. Because in many ways, newer editions, and, you know, like, people who play 4E often say, like, they threw out the baby with the bathwater. And it's like, it's very true. There are aspects of, like, 1st and 2nd edition that can help 5E a lot. I've been DMing for less than 24 hours, and I'm already trying to make it easier. Let's try to patch that. How patchable is that? Not that patchable. Good to know. That's what a prototype is for. Yeah, the actual floors, which are even smaller, those are all going to get painted very slowly, so that way I don't have little spotches everywhere. Yeah. So we got some base color going on. Let's see if I can do the thing that I saw somebody else do and I was really impressed with. It's kind of like a dry brush, but not. So let's make sure I start where you can see. I start here. And I just go for it. Okay, let's try the side of my brush. Oh. Let's get this color. Make it sloppy. They're rocks. Cool. And this is the color I want to put on the wood anyway, so... a little much on one side. There we go. The wood looks great. The stones over here are really sloppy and muddied together now. Barely can tell this was red. There we go. Do I like this for rocks? So far, no. But I also don't want to do basic gray. Blue's not going to look right. Not when I put it next to the house. I know. I should do basic gray and then add a detail to the rocks as like a little tippy top thing. So happy for you to join the ranks on the other side of the screen, Chance. It's great. People alone being the forever DM, but it's the best way to play. It is a great way to play. I absolutely agree. Okay, so we'll do some dark gray. I'm going to paint this side all dark gray first. Just so I have that. that's not bad. I see some of the other colors lightly coming through. It's interesting. So now on this side, I'm a more dry brush gray. Hey, Sneaky! Interesting. It looks muddy, but I'm seeing a lot of the finer details that the camera doesn't pick up. We're gonna let this dry so I can think about it. Let me grab something. Is it over here? Oh, I don't have it anymore. I must have ran out. There's a paint called Rust, which is a very vibrant orange that I used to get this look of orange down here on the bottom of this old desert rock. I guess I'm out. I'm gonna have to save up to get a few. And all my construction pieces are on top of my paint, so it's hard to dig in there. The walls for the houses have zero progress on them. They're all cut, though. Most of the windows have been printed, and I'm just waiting for some doors to get printed as well. A funny thing that I found, Chance, is when I started DMing, any important rules that I didn't have a grasp over, whether it was perfectly memorized or I understood the general gist of the rules, I would put those on my GM screen. So for a good example, for a long time, and they're still on there, I'll probably update it so that way they don't need to be there anymore, were how to rule ability checks. So I had all the ability checks and skills and conditions laid out on my GM screen. And that way I could always refer to it. And then the more I referred to that screen, the more we rolled them, the more familiar I got. And now really I can just take that off and put something else that's not locked in my mind, and I can put that on the screen. Great example is something in the middle of my screen are the damage dice for the different types of weapons, which I'm almost familiar with. It doesn't come up a lot that I have to worry about it, but it allows me to make an item on the spot, or go, if I'm just making a bad guy very quickly to toss into the fight, I can go, oh, he's got a short sword, D6, great, send him in. So it's stuff like that that I put on my GM screen that help me. It's why I do the heroic simple exhaustion rule. It's just so much easier to remember. It's a -1, -2. Yeah, that's I would print things out and put them on your GM screen. Things that you feel are important, that you don't always remember clearly enough, and then you can refer to those notes as you play. And then over time, when you get more familiar with them, you'll replace those with something else that comes up. That's at least what's worked for me. No one knows all the rules exactly. If you're you're okay. That sounds like you have an advantage over most DMs right there. Is that your players don't completely know spell slots and how spells function? That's a good thing. It's a really good thing, because you might be in the sweet opportunity to not use spell slots. Just saying, if you take a look at the alternative rule that works for 5e, is spell checks. They use this in Shadow Dark RPG. You could do spell points like in the DMG, like Twin mentioned. Spell checks, though, what they are is, instead of a spell slot, you can cast this prepared spell as many times as you want if the spell check beats the DC. So when you cast a spell, roll a spell check. The spell check DC is 10 plus spell level. You don't have to do this for cantrips. So you roll that, and if the spell check rolls below the DC, you can no longer use that spell until end of a long rest. So it could just be a 1 done, or it could be on the first one and the spell didn't work at all and it kind of diffused and sizzled. Or you could end up with Fireball 5 times a day. And it kind of makes magic this like, whoa, a little bit of that like crazy chaos without breaking the core mechanics of the game. And still being reliable. I would say for 5e, if you roll below the DC, the spell that you attempted to cast will either hit or not hit based off the spell's normal rules. So spell saves or spell attack, follow that. But you essentially burn the spell slot by rolling low on the spell check. Then if they roll above the spell check, great. You don't burn that spell for the day. You can still find enough energy inside you to cast that spell again. And so players aren't tracking prepared spells and spell slots. They're just tracking what spells haven't sizzled out yet. Allie giving me an update in chat. Super smart. I'll be up with Mina in about 20 minutes with coffee for you. Great. Love you, Allie. 20 minutes? I'd say in about... I'm going to say in about 12-ish minutes we'll wrap this up, because I've been streaming for an hour and a half. Look at the floor, guys. This wood looks really cool. The stones on the side, though, they're a bit of a mess. This looks the best. Gray next to the brown looks the best. So yeah, you have that ability. You could, if your players aren't familiar with spell slots, you can do that. Or if your players are more willing to add a little bit of magical variation or gamble to every spell. And of course, natural ones lead to... Yeah, absolutely. I treat natural ones as critical failures all the time. Even if you roll a natural 1 on a spell save against Fireball, it is equivalent in my game as if the spell attack was a critical success. So for my games, that's max damage. Better be a rogue so you can cut that in half. It makes magic. I think not in the games that have been recorded and still need to be edited. I think in the near future I'm gonna probably lean into spell checks instead of spell slots. And also as a DM, don't use spell slots ever. As a dungeon master, I really highly don't recommend it. It's just it's like having a math book and an algebra book in basic math and having to look at both at the same time. It's really unnecessary. I do enjoy the new structure in some of the newer books for D&D, which is spells that you can do all day, spells that you can do once a day, spells you can do twice a day. And you just put that in the monster stat. I find that far easier. So it's like my most powerful spells I can only do once. My medium spells I can do twice a day, and then my go-to is all day. And because they're villains, a first level spell can be an all-day spell. It works totally fine. Also, as a wizard who has to run out of spells plenty of times before, I feel like not running out of slots a literal game changer. Same thing with Warlock. It changes the Warlock in such a better way. Yeah, I agree. I feel like I agree and disagree, Twin. That casting magic should be... You know what? We'll just go to this for a second. Hey, look at that. Big ol' me. I agree and disagree that casting magic should be dangerous for the caster. And I will explain. I think in a game design way with modern players coming from more video game backgrounds where things are consistent and laid out to always work for them. You have to consider that psychology a little bit. So if I was going to say, oh, bad things are going to happen with magic, or better wording, magic is mechanically reliable, but in-game volatile. A player can wrap their head around that really well. So as you quickly remove any worries that a player has, like, oh, you're going to change how I run my character. It's like, no. That's why I like the spell check, is like, it could sizzle out or you could get it all day. So you get a really good benefit. And it's almost like a baby version, like a literal baby version of wild magic. And I feel that you put the dangers happening on natural ones. So I already rule that if you roll a natural one on a check or a save that it has nothing to do with damage, you get a point of exhaustion. So -1 on your stuff. If you were to do spell checks and then do a natural 1 effect, I think a player would be okay for something bad to happen if it doesn't always mean that it hurts them or can kill them. So it has to be more creative than just damage, right? So like if I rolled a natural 1 on a fireball spell check, maybe that means the spell doesn't even work that time. And I lost on the first try of using fireball. I don't even get to use it because I rolled a natural 1. A player would be really okay with that because it makes sense mechanically without like fiddling with the core machine that they're used to or are expecting to use. Then, but on a natural 20, what does that do, right? Because you got to give the counter. Natural 20, I would say, the max on a spell check, because we're not removing spell attacks and spell saves, which the point of that system is to remove spell attacks and spell saves. So it's just like either it didn't work out or didn't, or did work out or didn't. So we're really adding an extra die roll. I would say a natural 20 on a spell check would then mean has to be something worth the value or greater than a natural 1 making sure you can't cast a spell at all and losing essentially your turn. That's a tough one because there's a lot of things that you can just hand out, but what is the balanced version? Whereas or you could do natural 1s. This would balance it out really well. A natural 1 on a spell check, you roll on wild magic, right? So that means all magic is attached to wild magic. That is a crazy fun and easy way to tie in wild magic to everything. That natural 20 though, the things that come to my mind are double the distance or duration or damage, right? But that if you're going to keep spell saves and spell attacks, that muddies the water because that's what those rolls are meant for. Maybe you get a spell back. No, narratively that's really hard to motivate. maybe it leads to advantage on the spell attack or disadvantage on the spell save. So like you put an extra oomph in it and it affects the next roll a little bit. That'd be a really simple way of doing it, and players will want to roll spell checks because that means they get advantage and their targets get disadvantage. Wild casters, for me, it comes down to the strange way neutral is interact with warriors versus casters. Fighters can drop their sword, exhaust or hurt any ally or themselves if you use fumbles. While casters are more powerful, get to avoid all, to be honest. Dungeon Coach has a wild magic variant, like you're describing. Also a wizard who has to run. Yep. For the magic. Maybe full damage or full effect to the spell. Or maybe advantage, disadvantage to the next casting of the spell. Yeah. I think those are the things that I'm thinking of. But yeah. But this all comes down to the fact that you have the opportunity to avoid using spell slots. Yeah, that's a big thing. I should put on my... it's not really a good full video. Unless oh, no. Okay. Thinking externally here, so that way you can hear what my thoughts are. I was going to say, a video that's not worth making is talking about how DMs should not use spell slots. That video is pretty short, and it's not really worth a full video. But a video that talks about alternative to spell slots for players and dungeon masters, as in variant tools to make the game run smoother or more exciting. That would work as a video. Yeah, that's a pretty nice one. And Nat 20 like keeps the slot despite casting. If you use spell slots, yeah. Also, could you imagine if spell save DCs were actually spell checks? Where to save against this fireball, it's 10 plus the spell level? That would make saving against spells and the desire as a player to use more powerful spell slots for spells, that would condense some mechanics and into a very enjoyable experience. Is this dry yet? It is. Cool. You know, I think what looks good to my eye is the gray stone as a base next to the brown wood. I think it looks really nice. So I'll use that contrast around to benefit the look of the whole thing. I was wrong to experiment. I should have just went with my gut and did gray. Don't overthink it though, Chance, since you're just starting. The best homebrew that you could use is the one that makes the game easier to play and easier to run, so that way more time is spent enjoying each other's company than it is looking up the mechanics and trying to figure out how to play the game. Those are the best homebrews. Objectively. I'm even doing that in the book that Chris and I are writing for Curse of Amity Island, adapting the show into a game, or an adventure, I should say, is the spellcasters, no spell slots, but I also list out the spells so that way you guys can find those. Because they're just actions. That's all they should be. Actions, bonus actions. And when you design it that way, a evil wizard that the dungeon master plays can use magic missile as a bonus action. Who cares? Because the dungeon master needs action, bonus action, reaction. If you don't want to give him legendary actions, you gotta max out those action economies. Sips, not chugging. Exactly. And always, if you're going to implement a homebrew rule, have like a quick 30-minute, depending how big the table is, 10 to 30-minute little session 0 right before you play, and say, hey guys, I'm gonna try out this rule. Print it out on a piece of paper so that way people can keep it with their character sheets, and just go over it and be like, hey, I'm struggling at this part of the rule, or it looks like we're not having fun with this part of the game, and I wanted to try to change it to something that I think is going to be better for us and to have more fun. Everyone can toss in their point of view, disagree, agree. At the end of the day, make sure that it's clear that if it doesn't work out, or we find that it's worse or not that good, we can always scrap it and go back to the normal version of the game, no problem. Then they're more willing to try it, because it's trying, not changing. Focus on getting the basics down, 100%. Agreed. Listen to the 20-year-old dungeon master. He is no longer a game master. He is a dungeon master. And it can be tough to rule. I think as a new DM, I find sometimes it's tough to just make a ruling. I don't know why. I think there's a little bit of like hesitation to make a ruling that's not good or fair or whatever. And the way I get over that is my ruling is, if it's going to save me time, it's going to be in the player's favor. If time is not going to be an issue, it's going to be in a more unfair or just like neutral, just like it's brutal, but that's the ruling. I think that's what my brain has gone to the most. And sometimes I just gotta think about how referees feel during the Super Bowl. Man, there's a lot of pressure for them to make a ruling. I can make this ruling no problem. Also, Chance, I think I'm going to wrap this up. Chance, one more homebrew fun idea. Twin, you might enjoy this. Rather than rolling for your NPCs saving throws or checks behind the GM screen, have your players roll them. Like, hey guys, can you roll some d20s for the dex saving throws of my bad guys? Thanks. And they just start rolling because they're having fun. And they're going to want to roll low, which is such a change in the thinking and which gets everyone to have fun. Like, yeah, oh no! I have a lot of fun with that in Amity Island. It's pretty good. Or when you like want to set up a mystery of like, hey, can you roll this d20 for me? What is it for? You don't know. Yeah, behind the DM screen, Chance, I have 2 d20s, nothing else. And a laptop, but I don't have any other dice. And most of the time I only roll those for attacks, nothing else. For saves and checks, I have players roll them for me. All right. Allie's gonna be back real soon. I want to drink some water before I drink some coffee. And we got a base coat. We got a red base coat for desert rocks. Great. The hope is that heat, all the colors are based off the heat of the color. We got some experimenting done with the wood and the rocks around the wood. Next stream, I'm going to experiment with some magnets on this. And just see how easily and clean I can stick them in there. I'm going to continue working on the primer for the floors. The final floors. And next stream, I'm going to try... my cable's not long enough. I won't be able to do it. Dang. I was going to say I could spray the white primer, but I can't do that inside. But I do have some other things I need to paint if we have the time. But yeah. This was a great hangout, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you for chatting D&D homebrews. It's always fun. The next episode of Amity Island should go up this coming weekend. I have a few more sound design elements to squeeze in. And then because of the file sizes, the exports take like a day. On top of that, for backers, the entire next session will come out this weekend as well. And I'll be editing and shooting more videos to build up the bulk to release them sooner than later. So yeah. Thank you so much, guys, for hanging out. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, afternoon, evening, or good night.
Good night. Good night. Good afternoon. Good evening. Good night. Good afternoon. Good evening. Good night.
Good afternoon, good evening, good night. Good afternoon, good evening, good night. See ya. See ya. Good afternoon, good evening, good night. Good morning.
See ya.
Good morning.
Good. Case that don't. See ya.
See ya. See ya. Good afternoon, good evening, good night. Good morning.
Good.
Good morning.
Good. Case that don't. See ya.
See ya. See ya. Good afternoon, good evening, good night. Good morning.
Good.
See ya. Good morning.
Good. Case that don't. See ya.
See ya. See ya. Good afternoon, good evening, good night.